Welcome, everyone, to this week's Monday Motivation. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Today, we're diving into a topic that touches every part of who we are. Our body, minds, our spirit. And we'll talk about using food as healing for all of us. You know, food isn't just about, the calories we eat or how we feel after we eat. It's about connection to our bodies, to other people, our health, our emotions, even our faith. What we eat has the power to restore our balance, energy, and peace from the inside out. So I'm thrilled to be joined by a very special guest who truly lives and breathes this message. Oralia is a holistic health coach and wellness chef. She has helped many women discover how to help their plate nurture them every part of their well-being every day. She brings both professional expertise and heart-centered wisdom to the table. I know you're going to love this conversation. So let's get started.
All right. Okay. So thank you so much for inviting me to come, Terri. I really appreciate it. Anytime I get to talk about food, I get excited because this is my bliss point, and I truly love sharing my experience with food as well as my knowledge of food and cooking and everything food related. So whenever we gather around the topic of food, we're actually gathering around life itself. If you consider that food can give you life, then this is life itself. Food can also take away from your life. People ask me the funniest things about food. One of the questions that I get is, if you're by yourself, why do you cook so much? And I always say, because I'm worth cooking for, aren't you? You see, when we cook our own food, we are putting our energy into the food, which in turn nurtures us, blesses, and even prospers us if you put in that type of energy and if you set that intention when you're cooking. Truly, it is deeper than just the taste and the beauty of food. I happen to be a foodette, which is a term that I coined. Instead of a foodie, it's a foodette. And I absolutely love food. When I see it, I hold it in my hands and I just squeam like a little child because I love food so much. Not only the act of eating, but the fact that this is something given to us by the divine that we can truly appreciate and nourish our bodies with, our mind, and even our spirit. So food is life force itself, and it's one of the most sacred ways that we connect to ourselves, to life itself, to Mother Earth, and to the divine. Why? Because these are all gifts from all of those. Life, the divine, Mother Earth is gifting us food that we get to prepare and nourish our bodies with. Even when it's just me, I still see cooking and sitting at the table with the placemat and the silverware placed on the placemat. I see that it is something sacred, something that allows me to honor myself. And I will never forget when I lived in Italy many years ago. I lived with a gentleman that was from Sicily, and it was a whole routine for him. So in Italy, they used tablecloths, and I used this for many years until my tablecloth was just such a mess that I had to keep buying new ones because I always stained them. I always spilled something on them. But he would lay out his tablecloth, and sometimes there would be placemat, but for the most part there would be bread and water and the silverware. And it was a whole routine. It was a whole, not routine, it was a whole ritual of telling the body, calm down, I'm about to feed you, and we're about to enjoy this wonderful meal. He also loved to cook. So that was something that I learned when I lived in Italy. So today I want to share with you that healing becomes possible not just through what we eat, but how we prepare it, the food we choose, and the consciousness that we bring into every bite. So when I'm preparing something, often I will put my hands over the plate and I will send it blessings and energy. And I will tell myself this is going to be so good. And I know that the food that I'm preparing picks up on that energy because 9.5 times out of 10, it is so good. And the other thing is when we go to cook, we get to become very, very present. Chopping, stirring, reading the recipe, finding the ingredients, measuring them, all of that requires presence. And unfortunately, in today's world, many of us, including me, often are not present. So the whole act of preparing the food brings presence to us. And we get to slow down, if nothing else but for a few minutes. When it comes to sitting down to eat, I always say grace beforehand, just about always. And I will often hold my hands over the food because, again, I'm sending my energy to it. The other thing is that as we're eating, we should be taking about, I believe, what's supposed to be the case, 20 to 30 bites before we swallow. The problem is that in today's world, we often put it in our mouth and swallow. And this is why many of us are overeating and overweight because we're not aware. We're just acting as though this had something, our mouth had something on the outside written, feed me, and we're just constantly eating. So again, that's what we want to avoid. So I want you to know that healing is possible with every bite that you take. And if you think to yourself and you focus on healing as you eat, you will see a difference. And I'm going to start practicing this more often. Again, we get caught up in today's world and all the other things that are happening around us, and we're not fully present. So let's talk about the body as a biological power. I think you'll find this very interesting. Our bodies are electrical, literally. Our heart fires with electrical impulses, and the nerves communicate through currents. The mitochondria that we have, which are the tiny cell powerhouses that give us energy and give us life, run on voltage. So the question becomes, what fuels our electrical system? Minerals, clean protein, healthy fats, phytonutrients, clean water, sunlight, which is very important, spices, and food that is alive, not food that has been highly processed. The further we get from nature, the worse off we will be. The closer we get to nature and everything she has to offer, her exclusive divine bounty, the better off we are. So when we eat whole foods like vibrant vegetables, grass-fed, grass-finished beef, sustainably raised chickens, eggs, any type of animal protein. I'm very much into animal protein. Sunlight-infused fruits and spices. Our cells literally wake up. They're just waiting for this, hungry, and they receive what we give it. They thrive, they repair, and they rise in voltage. Food can lower inflammation, balance hormones, support the gut, calm the nervous system, stabilize blood sugar, and strengthen immunity. The two foods that lower insulin in our bodies, or that offer the lowest spike in our body, are fats and animal protein. Not by coincidence, fat quashes our hunger and leaves us with that full feeling, which is called satiation. We feel satiety. It's a strange word, but this is what it means when you feel full. Think of it as satisfied. But you cannot heal the body and the mind. You cannot heal the body without also influencing the mind and the spirit, because nothing in you is separate. We are one whole ecosystem. So indeed, we're all one with the divine and with each other. And this is something that's in the scriptures, and I find it to be very true. So let's look at color. This is something that is fascinating. Close your eyes right now if you're live and imagine, or if you're listening to the replay, and imagine a red apple or a red pomegranate with the seeds, which are called arils, listening. They're calling your name. Before you taste it, before you smell it, the color alone pulls you in. I know it does me. The red says, come closer, eat me. And it's the color of blood, of life, and not by coincidence, passion. In the story of Adam and Eve, whether you take it as literal truth or allegory, the apple is more than temptation. It's awakening, it's curiosity, and it's choice. Why an apple? Why red for that matter? Because red calls to us. It's the color that says, I'm alive, and so are you. Partake of me. Even if the story never happened in the garden, it happens every day when we stand before something that's beautiful and edible and say, yes, I want to taste life. I happen to love pomegranates, and if you look at my logo, in case you can't tell, that's a pomegranate. And pomegranates also have the interpretation, the metaphysical interpretation of life, of abundance itself. And so in Spanish, the word is Granada. There is a place in Spain, in southern Spain, called Granada. There's a city. And the reason that the Moors gave it this name is because when they started to invade and discover Spain, that part of Spain, there was water everywhere, which is something that had been missing in their part of the world. So when they saw all this water flows, fountains, etc., they decided to call it Granada, plenty, abundance. So think about that. So that's the joy of food. And the moment before the bite, our senses are already dancing. Haven't you prepared something that is so good? And before you take a bite of it, as you're preparing it, I don't know, if you're like me, you start thinking, oh, this is going to be so good. Oh, I just love this. Oh, this is just beautiful. Oh, I love the aroma of what I'm preparing. That's the joy of food for me. And I tell you, I absolutely love food in all its extensions. So let's talk about the mind, emotional healing, and mental healing through food. Your gut and your brain are constantly talking. In fact, the gut is often called the second brain. 90% of serotonin, which is the feel-good chemical that we all know about, is made in the gut. If the gut is inflamed, the mind feels anxious, foggy, and unfocused. If the brain is inflamed, we lose our focus, and it's easy right after that to go into the spiral and fall into depression and anxiety. Food becomes medicine for the mind when we choose omega-rich fats, which are fish, seaweed, and there are a couple of other things. A lot of greens have omega-3. You need to be careful. Butter, especially Kerrygold butter, is very high in omega-3. Greens, spices like turmeric, which is an anti-inflammatory, and when you use this, always make sure to add a dash of black pepper to activate the turmeric. Cumin and cardamom and cinnamon, even cinnamon. Cinnamon is delightful. We can prepare broths, gluten-free meals, low-carb, low-sugar meals. All of these are life-giving, anti-inflammatory foods. But it's not only the biology, it's also the ritual. It goes back to vitamin G, which is gratitude, and being present when we cook and when we eat, such as taking our time to chew our food. This is very important. Cooking slows us down. It brings us to the present moment. It anchors our senses, and it becomes meditation with flavor. If you have a special dish that your mother or maybe your grandmother or your aunt used to prepare for you, you probably will remember them anytime you smell the fragrance of the spices or of the food. That's just the way it is. Food and memory are linked together. So, even eating is an act, or can be an act of meditation. Let's look at the spirit and food as sacred energy. Everything is energy. We know this. I'm putting out a certain energy, and I'll even tell you what that energy is. Fall in love with food, fall in love with your kitchen, and get back in the kitchen and cook. Every thought, every word, and every intention we bring into our kitchen, that is all energy. And that is the energy that we're putting in our food. And then after we prepare it, as we sit down to partake of it, either by ourselves or with our loved ones, we're sharing that energy. We're imparting that energy to others through our food. As an example, water molecules change shape when exposed to positive words. And prayer, if water responds, imagine what food does. There was a doctor, I think his name was, I do not recall his name. He's the one that was in the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? And he took a word like love and then hatred and put it on the outside of glasses of water. And then he actually looked through a microscope at the different formations. And the loved ones were beautiful. They were divinely designed and unique. And the hatred ones were just awful. Even though it was just water, you could tell that the structure was completely different. So food absorbs our intention, which goes back to putting in positive intention into our food. You can taste the difference between food cooked with love and with anger. I will tell you, often when I cook and I'm sick, my food is not good. And that's because I'm sick and I really shouldn't be cooking. And sometimes I don't have enough food prepared in advance, and all of a sudden I get sick with a cold or something, and my energy's off, and the food is just not good. I can tell a distinct difference. And by the same token, people often tell me that they can taste all of the love that I put into food, because I definitely do, again, because I love food. So in many ancient cultures, women cooked not just to feed the body, but to strengthen the spirit of the family. Food was prayer, food was protection, and it was community. And people healed in community, which is why I have gatherings at my home every second and fourth Saturday of the month to talk about food, and where I serve food and we discuss what I prepared, spices, cooking terminology, things that I've discovered, things to avoid, things to look for, all of this. The world of food is very vast, and I love sharing my knowledge because, again, I love food. So in many ancient cultures, including some of the blue zones, people come together to cook not as a chore, but out of pleasure. And I was watching a series just last night where the women in Crete make, I don't recall if it was a bread, it was a certain type of bread. And they were all older women, like maybe in their 70s, 80s, and they all cooked, and they absolutely loved it. You don't think those women heal as they're together in a community cooking, and you don't think those women love what they're doing, and in turn, they cook for bakeries, and people then go to the bakery and buy that food? Imagine all of the steps and all of the blessings everyone gets just from women that come together and pour their heart and their soul into making bread. That's beautiful. So again, a lot of the time, a lot of the blue zones are good, not so much only because of the food, because it's not processed, but because of the intention and the love put into food. There's another place in Spain, in the Basque Country, where I saw a special that was on these chefs that would come together even after a hard day's work in the evening, cook together, share a meal, have fun, and then the older group of people, the older group of Basque men, would sing their songs in their languages, which is Euskera, and they would also contribute that sense of keeping their tradition alive. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And sadly, that's something that we miss, that we're very sorely lacking in the States. When we prepare our food consciously, we become healers. When we eat consciously, we nourish the soul. So to bring it all together, food is not just fuel. Food is frequency. Food is memory. food is relationship, and food is love. So it's the daily ritual that touches the mind, body, and spirit all at once. When you choose foods that nourish, when you prepare meals with intention, when you eat with awareness, and when you bring presence to the food as you're preparing it, your entire life begins to shift. What if there was something, by the same token, that could activate healing within your body? There is something. And it's the X39 stem cell patch, and that activates the stem cells in your body. It only takes 2 seconds to put on a patch. It works with the infrared light that your body gives off. And if you're interested, please type interested, and I'll be happy to send information on behalf of Terri. So by now, you probably know that you don't need to overhaul your whole life to heal. You only need to begin with your next meal and with the energy that you bring to it. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me, and may everything you cook be infused with love, wisdom, and your own sacred flavor and energy.
Thank you, Oralia.
You're so welcome.
If there are any questions, please just put them in the chat, and I'll make sure that we get them answered.
Yes. I love
it. If you have questions on the replay, I can also make sure that Oralia gets that information.
Yes.
And I will include all of her contact information also. So if you want to reach out to her, she's happy to talk to you.
Yes.
So thank you so much for your wisdom and your love of food. And all the heart you put into it is just beautiful.
Thank you.
So to everyone watching, I hope you got some insight about how food can help you heal the whole person. If you have any other questions, just reach out. We're here for you. And as always, I'm cheering you on. Have a great evening.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for having me, Terri.
Goodbye.
Bye.